Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank you from wherever you might be coming from for spending some time with us today. I want to take a real brief moment to first of all thank Stephen Kilgore for producing that video for us. It was a great way to kind of highlight what we did the last year. I also want to thank our Senior Outreach Associate, Brian Penny, for kind of producing this event and keeping a guy like me who's not the most technologically savvy individual on track and using this platform. So Brian, great job. You are a miracle worker, just so you know. I also want to spend a few moments to thank some folks. It's very important that I thank our advisory board. This is a phenomenal group of highly talented, successful people from really a cross section of industry. They all have strengths. It's amazing what they bring to the table, and we really appreciate not only joining us, but being active, always taking my calls and my texts when we hit them up for things. So really appreciate it. Also appreciate the direction of our board chair, which is Frank Hathaway. So Frank, again, has been just tremendous. Not only is he a logistics guru, but again, he is someone that we count on for really sage advice. I also want to thank our fiscal sponsor, all our numerous supporters that have joined us, that help us throughout the year, and our partners. They really are our champions in our effort to reduce food waste and feed hungry people. So for those of you who don't know, Waste.OC started in 2012. I was very lucky to be able to join in 2013 and become the executive director in 2016. This started as just simply an effort to recover excess edible food and be able to get it to nonprofit agencies that fed hungry people. Once we got started with it, we realized that it's a lot more complicated than that. And there's a lot of gaps in the food supply chain, a lot of ways that we can make an impact, But in order to do that, we had to rely on so many different industries. It was going to take a public, private, and nonprofit collaboration to really be successful at it. Luckily, as the model evolved, it proved that it is effective, not only in urban areas, but in rural areas. And it was incumbent upon us to really drive this and to do it based on some guiding principles. One is that we were going to be collaborative. And secondly, we were going to protect the brand and the image and the integrity of everybody who participated with us. So, as we brought all these phenomenal internal champions aboard with us that helped us identify resources, cost benefits, opportunities, and also helped us solve problems, it became pretty apparent that this effort that started in Orange County as a way to better serve 3.2 million people actually had legs outside of Orange County. And in large part because our partners are national partners. And they're looking for solutions system-wide. In other words, they want to be able to have a solution not just in Orange County, but they wanted to have a solution outside of California and across the state, across the country. It was very important for us that we were able to activate more champions and bring more people to the table. So if you don't mind, we're going to kind of take you on a brief little tour of what we're doing. I want to start by showing you what the future of Waste Not OC looks like. And that is it. Now you see, Waste Not OC is now Abound Food Care, complete with heavy metal music. I want to, first of all, thank Ray Baird and the branding business team. They guided us through this process, which was phenomenal. Couldn't have asked for more help or better guidance from them. I also want to thank the Los Angeles Angels, for their graphic art support, and also for giving us a fun way to kind of play around with how we were going to announce this. So we really appreciate it. We've told people over the last several months that Waste Not OC was really like a rocket. And there's a first stage rocket booster that's used to kind of propel you through the atmosphere. And that was Waste Not OC. And now it's gotten us past the atmosphere. And it's now time for the next stage, and that's Abound Food Care. And that will get us into the stratosphere. And along with it, we want to be able to bring additional partners, expand our model, share it with everybody else, and put it into place and put it into works all over. So we've been very fortunate to be able to provide those cost benefits, for people who've been working with us, and be able to expand that net outside. So what we're going to do now, if you don't mind, is kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse of what Abound Food Care is all about.
Envision a world where food is plentiful, joyously abundant. At Abound, we're making this a reality. We are Abound, a food care organization. We believe that food care is the answer for feeding all of America and sending less food to landfills where it can harm our environment. And so, we help connect food with people. Our solutions, born from hands-on experience, data, innovation, and partnerships, are helping organizations and communities become food efficient, saving excess edible food rather than discarding it, and having it picked up by local partners who distribute it to where it's needed most. By creating local, connected food supply chains, we are fighting hunger. preserving our environment, and sustainably building the health and well-being of our communities. We are Abound Food Care, delivering a new future for people, for planet. Join us.
Great. I have to thank, first of all, Stephanie Lincoln, who put that video together for us and did just an absolutely amazing job. Stephanie is another example of champions that have come to us out of nowhere, seemingly. It's happened over the last 8-9 years, almost daily, where we run into people who just connect with what we're trying to do, that really look at the ability to recover excess edible food, get it to people in need as something that's really basic and should be a common practice. And they've really helped us propel what we're doing. And like Stephanie, we have a lot of other champions, too numerous to mention, but we do have a little clip that we'd like to play of some of our champions and what their comments are.
Do you remember the time that we met in Sacramento?
Yeah, our accidental greeting.
Yeah, why don't you describe a little bit?
I know we were both independently in Sacramento for separate reasons. I was in a buffet line at a hotel across the street from the state capitol. Bumped into you, was pleased to see you, and you invited me to sit down and have breakfast together. And you really started the conversation about food insecurity.
So we talked, and you told me a little bit about what you do, and we had about an hour conversation. And I will never forget the 2 questions that I asked you. I said, Mark, do you have enough food in the food bank? And what did you say?
I said, we never have enough food in the food bank.
And then I looked at you and I said, if we captured all the food that was thrown out, could we end hunger? What did you say?
I said, yes, it's theoretically possible, but it's really hard to capture all that food.
And I said, then why don't we do it? If we could end hunger by capturing all the food that was thrown away, then there's no reason for us not to try. So I said, okay, I called you probably a couple of weeks later and I said, I'm bringing a group of people together and we're going to end hunger in Orange County.
And you were committed to do it, and we did it.
Right, we did. And you were on board 100% from the very beginning?
A little apprehensive at first, just because I knew how challenging prepared and perishable food was. I mean, there's 15,000 different locations in Orange County where the health department goes to inspect. And I was overwhelmed by the logistical challenge of getting to 15,000 different locations, 7 days a week at 11 o'clock at night, picking up leftovers. But you and Mike and others convinced me that, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Exactly.
So we just started, and we've been moving forward ever since.
And you've been a great partner, and we started this from the very beginning. And being the public health officer for Orange County and being able to draw that audience of multi-sector individuals into a cooperative was just remarkable. So we pulled from the not-for-profit, from the hospitals, from the restaurant industry. In November of 2012, we put everybody in a room and they said, tell us how we can end hunger. And that's exactly how it started.
But I really think part of the secret sauce was because of your position at the time, getting the environmental health officers to see that as part of their role as well. Just not enforcement, but education. So I know you worked with the Board of Supervisors to make sure that added to their little inspection sheet as they were going out and visiting all these establishments, that it included an evaluation of whether they had surplus food, and if they had surplus food, referring them to Waste Not OC at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, to make sure that that food was captured and got to the people who needed it.
So we were doing this within our own time. However, as the public health officer, addressing social determinants of health that I feel are crucial to that role. But it really didn't take off until Mike Leorakis came in as CEO. Do you remember that process?
Oh, yeah, I remember those interviews that we had at 1OC in Santa Ana.
That's right.
And bringing Mike on board really did take us to an entirely different level. I mean, such that my expectations always was that we were going to tackle hunger in Orange County by capturing some of this prepared and perishable foods. But I never imagined what a national presence that we would have. That became a model that other communities and states all across the country have tried now to emulate.
Absolutely. And when you involve the schools and hospitals and food recovery, it just started to cannonball. And each day was a pleasant surprise. Looking at this initiative, Waste Not OC. So how do you view Abound?
And it changes the focus, right? Initially we were Waste Not OC, Orange County. But this really now recognizes that there's a broader vision, that certainly extends beyond the borders of our own community.
Agreed. And this model can be applied nationally, like you said. And for me, the proudest moment is seeing this go to the next stage. And how we started from a kernel, and now we have all this recognition. I couldn't be prouder of the people that have helped us get here, and we could not have done it without the community.
Agreed. And one last key that I'd like to mention, and you brought them to the table as well, was the healthcare community. I mean, you got hospitals and major healthcare providers to ask 2 questions at the patient intake. Yeah, and that was questions to get to the issue of whether that family, that person might be at risk of food insecurity. And then if they discovered that they were, to make a connection so that that person was referred to a food pantry in their community where they could get the help that they need. And really, for the first time, that really bridged the divide between hunger and health. When those hospitals and those healthcare providers made that an integral part of what they were doing at the point of intaking of the patient.
So the bottom line here, we did it.
We did. Yeah. Congratulations, Doc.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Congressman Lou Correa, sending you greetings from Orange County, California. I want to take a few moments to recognize and to thank Waste Not Orange County and Mike Larakis for performing nothing less than miracles here in Orange County. A few years ago, Mike approached me and he said, I have a good idea, Lou. I have a great idea. And I thought, okay, let's hear it, Mike. He says to me, 40% of the food in Orange County is being wasted. He says 40% of the food prepared in restaurants is then thrown away. Food that's not even touched. And Mike says to me, I want to take that food, repackage it, and give it to the poor, give it to the hungry, and avoid that food going to our landfills. I thought to myself, great idea, Mike. Let's see what you can do. A few years later, Mike's making it happen. He's taking food, saving it, processing it, and giving it to the poor. And now, Mike, I understand you're about to expand your idea at a national level. Thank you very much. It's a great idea. And as soon as people see what you're doing, I know they're going to be on board with you just like I am. Mike, go get them. I'm with you. Let's feed the hungry, and let's save that precious space in our landfills. God bless you, and let's get busy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bill from Bracken's Kitchen here. We're so excited about the upcoming changes and rebranding for Waste Not OC. You've been a wonderful partner to work with, and we look forward to what's in store for the future as we work to recover more food and feed more people.
We can't wait for you guys to bring more food out to our kitchens. We have a lot of partners and a lot of people in need, and without your help, we will never be able to do what we do. So we really appreciate this partnership. We can't wait to see what your future holds, and we can't wait to be in part of your team. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the launch of Abound Food Care. I am Ann Bellier, Executive Director of Laguna Food Pantry, and on behalf of myself, our Board of Directors, and all our 150 plus volunteers, we are so excited about the new launch of Abound Food Care. We've treasured our partnership and collaboration with Waste Not OC over the years. I mean, throughout the pandemic, our weekly deliveries of food, pallets of food every Wednesday, with delivery service to our pantry, picking it up at Second Harvest Food Bank has made a huge difference. And then this beautiful scale that you've recently donated to us, so happy. We're really excited about Abound Food Care and know the future holds so much for us. Congratulations and thank you.
My name is Harold Herman, and I proudly serve Second Harvest Food Bank of Orange County as CEO. I'm excited to see the transition from Waste Not OC to Abound Food Care, because food is precious and too much of it goes to landfill. My understanding is that about 40% of the food grown or manufactured in this country ends up in a landfill, which is a travesty. Abound Food Care has filled that gap and works with manufacturers, jurisdictions, food banks, and pantries to make sure that that food is recovered and redirected and doesn't end up in a landfill. Too many residents of Orange County, and more broadly, our state and our nation right now, are looking for food based on what's transpired with COVID and the economic fallout of this pandemic. The Abound Food Care model is an answer to much of that problem and solves an equation for us, and that is to be able to bring us much needed food that we can also turn around and serve and won't have to buy that food from a manufacturer. So it's a partnership with Abound Food Care with this food bank that allows us to be stronger. That model can carry forward outside of Orange County to the state of California and beyond. And the silver lining here is that the amount of food waste reduction that takes place, the carbon footprint reduction that also takes place because that food does not end up in landfill, coupled with the fact of the offset, the financial lift for food banks and pantries, makes an organization like Abound Food Care a real necessity for our industry. We're excited about the future and about the growth of Abound Food Care and look forward to an ongoing and strengthening partnership as we work to solve food insecurity together.
Hi, my name is Dr. Jason Cord, and I'm a Kaiser Permanente physician and member of the board for Waste Not OC, now soon to become Abound Food Care team. As a physician, we know that food is intimately connected to health and health outcomes. Abound's commitment to address food insecurity with medically tailored meals is both relevant and revolutionary. Abound is committed to decreasing food waste while simultaneously identifying and combating food insecurity while providing medically appropriate food in the process. I'm excited to see this three-tiered approach thoughtfully propagated to a larger audience. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanya with Republic Services, and I'm a proud board member of the Waste Not OC Coalition, now known as the Abound Food Care. Incredibly proud of the work the team has done, Mike, Rachel, Dr. Handler, over the past years through our partnership with Republic Services and formerly known Waste Not OC Coalition, now Abound. Really making incredible progress to take food that is headed to landfills, that we are hauling to landfills, and instead making sure that that food has an ability to be repurposed, be reused, because it is edible, because it is still viable for human consumption. And we're proud to have worked with the Waste Not OC Coalition, now Abound, over the last few years to make sure that these programs are in place that ultimately help our environment and help our community. So thank you to the incredible team at Waste Not OC. Happy to now call the team Abound Food Care. I think it's a wonderful title, and I think it's a wonderful mission, and I just can't say how proud I am of everyone. Take care.
Oh, hi. I'm Alexandra Yates, Program Coordinator and full-time faculty at Orange Coast College in the Food Service Management Program. It's through our partnership with Waste Not OC that we've been able to combat hunger on our college campus in our recovery kitchen utilizing excess edible food. Our recovery kitchen chef instructor Amy Wilson and I are excited to partner with now Abound Food Care to end food insecurity not only on our campus but in our community.
Hi, my name's Jeff Snow, and it's been my pleasure to serve on the Waste Not OC Advisory Board for almost 5 years. And we've seen tremendous growth and tremendous success in not only ending hunger amongst the food insecure, but also saving our planet by reducing methane gas emissions in our environment that are caused by food and organics going into our local landfills. Jurisdictions like this one have a legislative responsibility to reduce food waste and keep and divert materials of organic nature like food from landfills, but I also think that we all have a societal responsibility to better manage our God-given resources like food. 40% of the food that's produced in America is thrown away, and through our Abound organization, we better manage those resources than any other organization to reduce those methane emissions and, more importantly, reduce food insecurity amongst our population. We're very excited for our rebranding of Abound Food Care, and we look forward to great excitement in helping jurisdictions to achieve legislative compliance and, more importantly, to end hunger forever.
Good afternoon, my name is Joe Bonafetti. I'm a principal with Field Source Food Systems, and I've been working with Waste Not for a number of years, almost since inception. Well, Mike started at inception. I was there early on when he was interviewing assistants and met with Rachel. For transparency, he had had a previous employment with Rachel, and she was clearly the winner of that. And I turned to him at the time and I said, "If you don't take her, you're a fool." So that was great. It's a passion of mine. I've been in the food business my entire life. Restaurants for 25 years now. We have a food service distribution and processing company. It's very difficult for us to see food go to waste. To see this new model where Waste Not OC, now Abound Food Care, is repurposing this food is kind of a step forward for us. I think it's really amazing to be able to take that extra step, to not just be diverting food and having food go to a place, but to actually have a meal that can feed somebody, which we tried last week and it was fantastic. I come from a food service distribution background. I understand the logistics that come into this to play. I think our industry specifically is really set up to assist in this effort that they have with Abound. We have trucks running all throughout Southern California within our industry, and we really, once now the word gets out and there's education in this marketplace, we'll know that we could pick up food, bring it to sites safely without liability, and I think that's the way that's going to really bring us to the next level. Plus, we know where the food is. We have relationships with the manufacturers. We constantly are getting calls. There's a group called diverters, and diverters basically are moving product around that's long in certain markets. So we're keen to this situation, and being a part of this has really meant so much for me.
Hello, my name is Laval Brewer, and I'm the President and CEO of South County Outreach. And we've had the pleasure of working with Waste Not OC, now Abound Food Care, for many years. Our partnership and the way that they have collaborated with other nonprofits like ours has made it easier for us to deliver the nutritious food that our citizens need every single day. I'm so very excited about what's going to happen because of this new change in the Abound Food Care. We believe that they're going to help us change the way that free food is delivered to those who need it most.
Santiago Culinary Kitchen and our culinary program here at Santiago is part of a 7-year culinary program that starts the students off in 7th grade and takes them all the way into community college, into the culinary programs there. And we start teaching about sustainability, about food recovery, about food waste here in middle school. And that gives kids a way to kind of connect the dots of what's happening in our communities and connect that to food, connect it to food waste, connect it to big corporations, connect it to home farms and home buying practices, so they can learn about how to be sustainable at home and how to incorporate that into a bigger arena when we're talking about culinary arts and working in restaurants or working in food stores and what that means in the bigger picture.
On behalf of the Orange County Board of Supervisors, I am proud to have supported the incubation and development of this collaborative effort to recover excess edible food as a tool to reduce food insecurity and food waste in our community of 3.2 million people. We had no idea back in 2012 that Waste Not OC would develop an innovative national model capable of bridging gaps and solving problems that have existed for many decades. We in Orange County are excited to see Waste Not OC morph into Abound Food Care and are anxious to share the model with the rest of the country.
So as you just saw, there are champions everywhere in the effort to reduce food waste and food insecurity. They're just looking for a reason to participate, looking for a way to have an impact. So if you give me a couple more moments, I want to be able to walk you through those ways that Abound Food Care can be able to activate new champions and be able to find solutions and kind of fill the gaps that exist. First of all, our purpose will be to build a sustainable future by ending hunger and food waste. Our vision will be to become the nation's food care model. Our mission is going to be to create regional solutions to a national problem with local resources that strengthen our communities. So if we stood on the side of this road as a semi-trailer rolled by, it would seem pretty huge and powerful. But as this image depicts, in the big picture, it's actually a small element. As we've demonstrated in Orange County, where our partners have recovered over 80 million pounds of excess food since 2015, screened over 250,000 patients for food insecurity in the past 3 years, and worked to build an inclusive coalition, Abound Food Care is uniquely qualified to address existing gaps, power solutions, and also provide a national model. Food care, as we define it, is the active and passionate protection of food, its process, its cost, and impact. We want to ensure that food is handled safely, with care, so that it fulfills its intended purpose, which is to feed people. The ability to take great care of our food so that great food takes care of us requires solutions to challenges that have existed for decades. So much like a maze, Abound Food Care can help navigate the complexities associated with edible food recovery by providing innovative solutions that keep excess food safe, protects the brand of the donor, and then feeds people instead of landfills. Our network of food repurposing kitchens that convert bulk excess food into packaged, frozen, ready-to-heat and eat meals, along with the development of our solar-powered cold storage facilities, create an emergency food management program capable of providing a jurisdiction with emergency meals in a time of crisis. But unfortunately, food insecurity doesn't just exist in emergencies, it's everywhere, and it's in every community. So along with our healthcare partners who are screening to identify food insecure patients, we not only can work with care managers to identify sources of food, but also utilize our repurposing kitchens to provide medically tailored meals for patients that have dietary requirements during those periods of time when they are food insecure. But it all starts with the ability to recover excess edible food, to provide the food industry with system-wide solutions and brand protections they need to realize the cost benefits of food donation. At Abound Food Care, we come from the food industry. We speak the language, we know their challenges. Together with nonprofit recovery and distribution agencies and the public sector, we can optimize the food supply chain, activate resources, and build capacity, all of which benefit people and planet. You know, we've had some really nice comments, and we appreciate it from everybody. But we can't, reiterate enough that this isn't about us. This is about our ability collectively to really impact and to really be able to recover excess edible food for its intended purpose. It's critically important that we bring as many people to the table as possible. It is collaboration that's been the key, and then the manner with which we've done this. Again, being from the food industry, if you know where food's at, you know why food's not being donated, it's much easier to bridge that gap. So what we'd like to do is field questions. Fortunately, I am not attempting to go through the questions because I would probably just bite my tongue or do something foolish. So I'm going to let our project manager, Rachel O'Terre, kind of walk through with me. If you could, Rachel, if we have questions, I'd be more than happy to take them all.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for posting your questions. Mike, we've got some really great questions I want to read off to you. The first one up, and also if you have any questions that you would like me to ask, please vote for them or post them. All right, Mike, are there any new types of partners that we are looking to work with as Abound Food Care?
I mean, all partners are, we're always looking for partners, and they come from all different places. So sometimes it's easy to identify partners that you want to work with. For example, technology, logistics. There's some that we hit right off the bat, but don't forget, it was 5, 6, 7 years ago when Yellow Cab came to us and said, we can transport food, we just can't touch it. And that became a logistics solution. So we sometimes don't know where that next partner is. And that's why our best bet is to, engage with people who want to be champions, who think they have an ability to impact what we're doing and assist what we're doing, and vice versa.
Great. Thank you. Our next question is, will Abound be any different than Waste Not OC?
Waste Not OC was specific to Orange County, meaning we never wanted to go and advocate for something unless we did it. So we did food recovery in some ways, but we facilitate the donation of food. So our scope of work outside of Orange County is a little bit different in that we're here to assist. We're here to develop programs, help provide expertise, to bring all of our national partners and resources together to help a local effort thrive. So it's a little bit different than what we do in Orange County, but it's really expansion of that model.
Our next question is, how do the medically tailored meals work?
Okay, so one of those things that we talked about is, coming full circle. As we started recovering food and we started working with people who feed hungry people and try to alleviate food insecurity, we realized that there was a little bit of a disconnect. Oftentimes when people are food insecure, we give them emergency meals. They tend to be non-perishable, loaded with sodium. We realize there are people that have medical issues and they have dietary requirements or restrictions. So our goal was to be able to provide, using bulk recovered food that's repurposed in our network of food recovery kitchens, to be able to produce those meals that have these dietary restrictions associated with them under the direction of a dietitian, and be able to get these meals to patients who are food insecure. So during those times of the month or year, whenever they are food insecure, they don't have to make that decision. Do I eat something that's going to make my medical problem worse, or do I just go hungry?
Right. Next question, is there a cost for any business or nonprofit to participate?
It really depends on the area of the country. So our goal is to be able to work with and help develop existing infrastructure that's there, or existing groups or efforts that are already in place. There are different funding mechanisms in different areas of the country. Northern California is much different than Southern California. New York is different than Arizona. So it really depends on what the existing infrastructure is, what are the challenges, what are the resources available, and what is the cost of being able to maximize those resources.
And another question that we received that was voted on was, how were we able to bring in so many different partners?
I think if you are looking at how people and organizations can help, then you go out and you bring people in and you kind of draw from a larger area. And then more importantly, we don't compete with anyone. There's nobody doing what our niche is or what we do. So it's really easy to get for-profit partners because there's a cost benefit to them. It's easy to get nonprofit partners because we're providing them with resources. We're augmenting what they do. And again, we don't compete in any way. That's really why it's been easy for us to bring in partners, because it's collaborative. And that's the only way this effort works, through collaboration.
Perfect. Why now? Why are we deciding to make this move now and change the name and rebrand now?
The timing is actually a little bit late. I mean, we tried, we identified a couple of years ago that it was important for us to expand simply because the proof of concept was there. Last year, recovering 23 million pounds of food with our partners in a wide network of partners. The donors wanted this same solution throughout their marketplace. And that's why now. That's why it's important, because it doesn't help a food donor to be able to have a resource in one area and not be able to have those resources throughout their entire system, whether it's within a certain state or across the country.
Great. We have another question, and this is in regards to SB 1383. With regards to SB 1383 and the food recovery requirements of this mandate on jurisdictions, how can Abound partner with municipal agencies to help promote the donation of excess edible food from food establishments?
It's a good question. There's a lot of areas of participation. So one of the things we did early on was we developed this municipal program, and it was working with all the areas of a municipal government. In other words, I, as a restaurateur, if I want to open up a new restaurant or I want to make a substantial change to my existing facility, I've got to submit plans to the plan check department. I have to go to building and planning. That was a great opportunity to inform food waste donors about the ability to donate food, the safeguards that are in place. On a county level, we've been able to have the cooperation, the assistance of the Environmental Health Department. You know, in Orange County alone, we work with over almost 15,000 permitted establishments. So there's all these different ways that these different departments can cooperate and work under one umbrella. Parks and Recreation is another area. You know, pre-COVID, and I'm sure at some point afterwards, you know, municipal parks are going to be the place where large gatherings are held, whether it's concerts, and there's going to be food service. Another great opportunity to inform people about what is allowed to be donated, what cannot be donated, what's safe and what isn't safe. There's all these areas that we can cooperate and work with municipalities.
Perfect. All right. We've got a few more questions. We've got a question about servicing other counties, and I know we talked about SB 1383 and working with jurisdictions, but in terms of what it would look like for Abound to service another county or another state or another area, is there a way that you can give us a really brief overview of what different types of implementation or services or scopes of work we would be able to provide?
Sure. Yeah, there's three ways we can assist. One is to provide just consultation. It's the easiest way to do it. We can share what we know, our knowledge. But what works best is to be able to provide that program oversight and help develop the resources, identify the resources, because many times, as we learned in Orange County, you know, when you're in the forest, it's hard to really tell what's going on. We have a more aerial view, and we can leverage national partners that are already in that marketplace. So that's really another area. It's just important to remember that we're talking about food, and the food industry doesn't comprehend jurisdiction. They don't comprehend city borders or county lines. The food industry understands marketplaces and regions, and a region could be the western half of the U.S. It could be the northeast. It could be the southeast. That's what the food industry understands. And in reality, it's actually a national connection. There's food available in one part of the country, and that manufacturer wants to get that food to another area of the country where that brand name is not known. And that's those steps that we kind of take to protect the brand.
Another question that's been voted for and has been asked is funding. So how is Abound Food Care moving forward, or in the, you know, how is that funding structure set up? How is this program funded?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that is ongoing in every area of the country. Again, and it varies. In some areas, there's funding for it through efforts to reduce organic food waste that goes into landfills, such as in California. In other areas, there's a benefit to the food industry. There's a benefit potentially to the healthcare industry. In other words, if we're able to get medically tailored meals to patients who are food insecure, ostensibly the cost of care goes down as well. So the key is to identify areas where we provide a cost benefit. Wherever there's a cost benefit, wherever you're effective at what you do, there's an opportunity to fund that program. And again, it varies by area. Some areas are starting with very little infrastructure. That's going to take a greater amount of investment. Other areas already have many of the pieces in place. But the beauty of the model is it works in urban areas and it works in rural areas. Just bring those resources together. It's utilizing the nonprofit sector. You know, they're the soldiers, the foot soldiers, food-hungry people. But by the same token, they're heavily reliant on volunteers. So expecting them to be flawless is probably not realistic. And that's where we use private and public to help augment the nonprofit sector as well.
There are some really, really great questions here. I kind of want to switch it up a little bit and ask a different type of question that I'm seeing is, how do we determine where food goes? You know, there's so many different factors. What does that look like, and where does that determination come from?
Okay, great question. Hopefully I can give the answer that's as good as the questions. Basically, food safety has to be our #1 priority. So if you're looking at food safety, there are a couple of things that are critical. One is time. Also, logistics cost is another component. So you just now touched on the 2 areas of food safety that are most important: time and temperature. The quickest route is going to be the fastest route, the least expensive route, and it's going to be the route that allows for us to maintain that safe temperature. So, but much like sonar, one donation can't always go to one recipient. Then you're going to ping further out. You'll start with one location that can receive it, and then the balance may go somewhere else. That's the nuance. That's the difficulty. That's the logistics challenge, is being able to get this excess edible food and get it to a destination that can use it. Because the last thing we want to do is just trade dumpsters. Instead of going into a food industry dumpster, it's going to be sent to a nonprofit pantry where we overwhelm them with it, and it ends up going into their dumpster.
Right, right. I know we're getting to the end of our event. Mike, one more question, and then anybody who, if I didn't get to your question, you know, I apologize. Please email us at aboundfoodcare.org, or info, sorry, that's our website, info@aboundfoodcare.org, and we will make sure to get back to you. Another question that I'm seeing is, what type of logistics and logistics partner creatively, you mentioned Yellow Cab, what other types of logistics partners are we looking to partner with as we're starting to expand?
You know, the main areas of logistics is going to be the ability to store food safely, transport food safely, and track that food. So when we talk about logistics, we're talking about transportation, and not just adding more trucks to the road where we, you know, kind of expand our carbon footprint and waste gas and people's energy driving back and forth, but it's the effective ability to move food back and forth, the effective ability to store food so that you can get it to where it needs to go when it's time to get it there. And then technology has a huge role to play with this, and tracking inventory, identifying, you know, transportation routes, et cetera. That's really where the logistics opportunities are. And you know what, there may be some that we haven't defined or aren't aware of yet. And that's where it's great when a service provider, a potential champion, comes to us and says, I think I can help you. It's awesome.
Well, Mike, those are, I think, all the questions that we can get to at this time. But again, info@aboundfoodcare.org. Please don't hesitate to send us any questions, or Mike or one of our staff members, myself, will be happy to get back to you. And thank you for posting all of your great questions.
Great, thank you. So let me just close by, again, thanking everybody for joining us. Thanking you for your past support, your future support. We're looking forward to working for this greater cause, this bigger picture. We know it's obtainable. We know we can do this, but it's going to take a lot of collaboration, a lot of cooperation, and really outside the box thinking. So we encourage you, as Rachel mentioned, visit our website, reach out to us. We're happy to help. We want to be able to work in so many different areas, because we know there's champions everywhere, there's challenges everywhere, but the one thing we know of is there are people that don't get enough food to eat everywhere, and there's also excess food everywhere. So I encourage you to reach out to us. I'm looking forward to chatting with anybody, answering any and all questions you have. And until then, thank you again for being a part of this for us and for taking time out of your day. And stay safe, be healthy, and we'll see you soon.